job right now.
Ahead, everybody take your seats. Go ahead and get started. Appreciate everybody coming today. Welcome to the Sunday service of the People's Church of Divine Prophecy. I'd like to just do a couple of housekeeping rules. The bathrooms are down the hall, quick right, quick left. Coffee in the back. Usually there's donuts there, but this by the donut shop this morning, they were closed till Monday. Stopped at a second place to get donuts, and they were out of donuts, so I guess there's no donuts today.
We got cake back there.
Got homemade cake. Well, that will definitely fill the bill. I'd like to ask everybody to silence their cell phones unless they're medical or law enforcement personnel. I'd like to have Ashkhen light the candles to start the service, symbolizing the unity of body, mind, and spirit. Please stand for the opening prayer and remain standing for the first hymn. Please join me in an attitude of prayer. Dear Father God, we give thanks for this moment here today. May we use this time to sense your presence, peace, and love within our hearts. May we allow this to renew us, uplift us, and move us forward for the coming week. May we feel this presence constantly in every moment and every breath. Amen.
Amen. In the gold pages, number 1, open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Singing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Singing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you.
Please be seated. The next portion is a thought for the day from the pastors, where I put something out that I've encountered in the past week. I'm trying to put it into a spiritual perspective and something I'm trying to bring into my life. I guess the biggest thing that came to me this past week was perceptions, how we perceive things and how we go about allowing those things to affect us and how different perceptions of the same thing can be. Part of this came about yesterday morning. We had about 7 or 8 of us go to breakfast, a bunch of guys, and always have for about the last 15 years. And We talk about everything under the sun and have quite a nice time most of the time. Some of the time it gets a little heated, especially when it gets to college football and stuff. So, and sometimes about politics, but most of the time we get along civilly. And two of the guys had some kind of dispute and they weren't talking about it. So one of them stopped coming to breakfast. This happened outside the breakfast group. So another one of the members asked the guy that had stopped coming why he wasn't coming, and he told him. So yesterday morning, he had a conversation with the guy that was still coming. And the guy's perception of why that happened was so different than the guy that stopped coming that you couldn't believe it. They were different days, different events completely, what each of them thought it was. So it just, like I said, it's just interesting how you get a different perception of things. And a lot of times that's what keeps us apart from people, is that differing perception of how things go. All perception is the same thing. And I guess what I'm trying to get into is what I initially perceive about something is just to take time, think about it, meditate about it, and be sure that that's a clear perception and not an emotionalized perception about something that I have as a quirk in my nature that's sticking there and really not what's going on. And that happened to me a couple of times this past week. I perceived something about somebody and just kept quiet, and eventually it revealed itself what the truth of the matter was, and it was quite different than what I thought it was. So when you get these initial perceptions, unless your life's being threatened, I mean, if somebody's assaulting you or trying to do something harmful to you, of course you have to react. But most social situations, you have the ability to just not respond, not react, and just take the time to look at things in a better light. When Spirit works with you, they work slower than the immediacy of things. Our emotional mind responds right now. The spiritual mind and the spiritual beings take a lot longer of a time to work it through because they work from the perspective of eternity with you. They don't work within the perspective of my immediate need. They look at you as an eternal being, and what they do in the moment is for the good of you as an eternal being. Sometimes that's a little frustrating to us because it just isn't what we want. And we just have to take our time, relax our minds, and feel that guidance before we act. Thank you for listening. Asking you to chair the service from now on because I'm going to be doing a lecture and a demonstration of spiritual gifts. So during this portion, this is the next portion is the healing portion, and we will start this by asking the healers, Judy and Marty, to go up and do the healing today if they're available. And we'll start the service by reading the Spirit Prayer for Spiritual Healing on the back together. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore them to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. During the service, you'll hear this, which means a healing chair has become open, either the three in the back or one of the ones up front.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's get ready for the meditation. Find a comfortable position to sit. Feet straight on the floor. Palms up in your lap. You may close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. With your exhale, just release if there is any tension in your physical body, if you are experiencing any aches or pain. With your exhale, just breathe it out and let it go. Let go of the thoughts that are occupying your mind. Any worries, any concerns you may have. Again, with your exhale, just breathe it out and let it go for now. Just bring your awareness to your breath. Become aware of your breath. Connect with the mechanism of your breath. As you breathe in and out, feel your body becoming more and more relaxed. And your mind quiet. Feel the motion of your breath as you inhale. It is moving gently, flourishing your entire body. From head to toe. Just follow the motion of your breath. Taking you deeper and deeper within yourself to a very peaceful and quiet presence within. That feels calm, quiet. Connect with this peaceful presence. And just be still in those peaceful vibrations. Your peaceful breath that is moving gently. As you connect with this peaceful presence, you experience deeper and deeper inner peace. Repeat to yourself quietly, I am at peace within and with my surroundings. Within and with my surroundings. Till you feel a peaceful sensations permeating from within and without. Embrace this peaceful state of your consciousness. You are meant to be at peace, always. Regardless of what goes around in your life, you are meant to be at peace. Embrace this stillness within your consciousness. Regardless of where you are, just be the peace that you are. Feel these peaceful vibrations, carrying your awareness higher. Higher to your forehead and above your head, and connecting with your higher self, to the perfect state of your consciousness, to the presence of God, the mighty I Am presence. As you acknowledge this presence, you experience the presence of brilliant golden light that is above your head. Connect with this golden light. And as you connect, feel the energies from this golden light coming down to the crown of your head, healing and clearing the mental body. Feel this golden energy circulating at the top of your head. Awakening your spiritual senses, your spiritual sight, spiritual hearing, spiritual feeling. Feel this golden energy activating the mind of God, the third eye, where you are able to see the spiritual realms, spiritual entities, light beings, spiritual guides and teachers, angels. Feel your connection to these realms. As you were once one of those lights, spirits, within the realms of the universe, experiencing all the dimensions of light. Feel the vastness of all these dimensions as you explore. You feel the connection with all these universal dimensions, with the parallel realities, and you feel the connection. You sense the infinity of your being. With no limitations, with no boundaries. Embrace your infinite self. As you once existed in those higher dimensions of the universe, as a perfect thought in the mind of your Creator. That thought is within you. It is the spark of your spirit while you are having a human experience. That perfection is within each one of us. Rise above the human conditions, the human behaviors, and focus on the perfection that is within each soul. With your higher perspective, focus on the goodness that is within each one of us. Focus on the love that connects each one of us together with the universal love, and the consciousness with the universal consciousness, and the light within each one of us as part of the universal light. Though we are individuals, yet we are all connected. Connected to the one great spirit, the universal light, universal love. With this knowing, embrace your wholeness, for you are not limited to any reality. Embrace your infinite potentials, your infinite self, with many perspectives, and view your life with a higher perspective. Envision yourself. Envision your immediate life and your surroundings. The creative power is within each one of us. Create your reality. In essence, you are a spirit, having a human experience. Though you are in this physical reality, yet you are not limited to this reality. Tap into the potentials of your spirit, the spark of light that is within you. Let your spirit guide you. Let your spirit lead you. Listen to your spirit as it speaks to you through your intuition. and trust her. That is speaking the truth. The truth to serve your higher self and the highest good of all. Allow the qualities of your higher self, the divine knowledge and wisdom, to manifest and materialize in your physical reality. See them integrating to this physical reality through your thoughts, through your actions and interactions with others. Let it be of the highest good of all. Become aware of the light that is within you. See that light expanding, growing larger, vibrating with golden rays. See yourself as a source of light, enlightening the planet, creating shift in the consciousness of humanity towards peace, love, and harmony. And wherever you are, whatever you do, just be the light that you are. Be the love that you are. Stand tall in your divinity and allow your light to shine, now and always. Feel your breath slowly bringing you back. Become aware of your physical self, engaged with your physical senses. Come back to the here and now. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now let's integrate all these energies down here in this physical reality with the next hymn that Lori is going to play. Please rise.
Jesus asked that we do hymn number 1 in the white pages. Near my
Still my song shall be near
portion of our service is the inspirational lecture. Our lecturer today is our pastor, Reverend Steve Adkins. Steve Adkins is the founder of this church, People's Church of Divine Prophecy. He is a spiritual worker for the past 30 years, bringing healing, hope, and enlightenment through the spiritual faith to all whom he encounters. Reverend Adkins, he always inspires us with his knowledge, his experiences, his faith on both levels, as a human and as a spiritual being. And recently he was on a sabbatical leave for almost 2 weeks, and we look forward to hearing about his new experience that he had. Please welcome our pastor, Reverend Steve Adkins.
You Ashkhen. Well, she might not have told you the truth. I'm not necessarily going to speak about Kansas the whole time. It's a Sunday service, so I'm going to speak about spiritual things. That might be hers doing. There we go. Electronics. I'm going to speak a little bit about a story of forgiveness, because I guess that's something I had the hardest time with when I first pulled my head out of the mud and mire. I used to drink pretty heavy and didn't really care about too many people. And didn't really care about if people cared about me. So it took me a while and a few trips to some very unkind places for a few years at a time before I figured out how to do things. And one of the biggest things was how to do forgiveness. So I'm going to tell a little story that you've heard a number of times before, but with a little different perspective, because my trip to Kansas did change my perception of myself and the world around me. The reason I asked for that song to be played is because it is the song they played on the Titanic as it went down, and the musicians knew there wasn't enough lifeboats for everybody to get off. So rather than fight and claw and harm their fellow man, they decided to sit there and play what they loved to do, which was play music right until the moment that it went down. And that's the song they played right there, right till the time the ship went down. So that's the ultimate in devotion, the ultimate in human sacrifice, and doing what they love right to the end. The story that I'm going to tell is true. I don't know if the names are correct in it. It's a story about a young American Indian named Joseph. And him and a friend of his were in college together, German exchange students. And this took place right before World War II. And him and this guy got to be really good friends. And then the war broke out, and his friend had to go back to Germany. And Joseph went into the Merchant Marine, and he's riding around all these ports of call. And we hadn't fully engaged in the war yet, so the Merchant Marine ships were still allowed into ports of call. And they would see the different uniforms and the different troops, and he would start drawing pictures of soldiers with their arm patches, the Italian soldiers and the German soldiers, and different groups. And somebody realized the military worth of these things and started picking them up and sending them to the State Department, because he'd just sketch them and throw them on the ground. Well, as with any military secret, it became known, and he was taken into custody in a port of call, and the authorities there tortured him to no end because they wanted to know who he was, what he was, and where he was from. And they just did horrible things to him, nailed his feet to the floor and just tortured him to no end. And when they finally realized he really didn't know anything, they sent him off to a concentration camp to be killed instead of to a prisoner of war camp. And he's in this line getting ready to get on the train, and he's just numbed out and just can't hardly function. And he feels himself being shoved real hard by one of the German soldiers, really hard. And he looks up and he's finding out he's being shoved into the line of the POWs rather than the concentration camp. And it was his friend from college shoving him over into that line, and he survived the war. And he came back home because of the kindness of his friend. So he comes back to his tribe, and they say, the tribal elders have a meeting, and they decide that he's lost his spirit and cannot exist in the community until he recovers his spirit. So he either had a choice to leave the community or to undergo this ritual, which was going to force him to see visions of all the things that he had in his mind, all the things he had that he couldn't get by, that he couldn't explain. So he said, I'll take the treatment. And it was tying him to this chair and dunking him into this ice-cold river water time and time again, holding him under till he almost drowned, and then the freezing cold until it drove him to a state of starting to have visions about all these things that had happened to him. And one by one, he put those things into perspective, and he began to let things go and forgive the people as he was seeing what was going on. And each time he got past something, he got to a point where he just flat could not forgive this one person, this one soldier that came into a cell after all the abuse he had and crammed chicken guts and just the most horrible things into his mouth, forcing him to eat that. And he just couldn't understand how the inhumanity of that person could be so severe on top of everything else that happened to him. And finally, that spirit came to him and he said, they told me to let you die, and that's all I could find to feed you with. And that's how he stayed alive, was by that man finding the throwaways from the kitchen, and that's what he could sneak to and keep him alive with. So again, my talk at the beginning about perception, here's a perception that this man had to get by. So he finally, but in the interim, before he had that said to him, he had forgiven the man. He realized he was going to either forgive the man or die. So he forgave the man, and then the vision came to him about that, why the man did that. So there's a couple things, and Joseph found his spirit again and was reintegrated into the tribe. A couple things about this is that we as Joseph many times lose our spirit, not many times, but occasionally lose our spirit. And we just stumble through life, existing moment by moment, putting one foot in front of the other, just going through the motions of life without any spirit to it. While we don't undergo the same level of harshness that Joseph did, it's enough to knock us off our path sometimes. Emotional involvements, drugs, drinking, despair over things that we can't put into perspective. These things make us lose our spirit. And as with Joseph, the same thing happens to us. Friends help us find our way back. Our belief in ourselves helps us find our way back. And we do eventually find our way back. Sometimes some people don't. Sometimes they get suicidal and they don't make it back. And that's because they lost their spirit. And the Bible talks about that. It says first there's a spiritual death and then the second death follows. So if you lose your spiritual life, death is going to follow at some point. The other thing about this recovering our spirit, again, is something that we do by intention and by plan. I remember there was a time in my life back when I was very full into this work, teaching classes almost every day, doing readings for people every day, doing healings for people every day. And my mom and stepdad asked me to do a reading for them before they went up to New Jersey, where they were from. And I gave them the reading and didn't see anything really difficult happening with them, and everything was peachy keen and just fine. Well, about 3 months after they were in New Jersey, My mom suffered a crippling stroke over the right side of her body and paralyzed the whole right side of her body from smoking. And my stepfather was diagnosed with inoperable pancreatic cancer. So I got a little upset with the spirit forces I'm supposed to be working with. And this is me, this is just my attitude. I tend to be a little bit reactionary sometimes, and I guess that's a hanger on from my drinking days when, oh yeah, you know, one of those kind of things. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. I said, well, you know, if this stuff don't work to help my family, what good is it? And that revealed something to me about myself and my intentions for doing spiritual work. So I stopped doing all spiritual work for about 6 months. I lost my spirit. And I went about my day job running construction and just going on one foot in front of the other. And I still meditated because my meditation comes from long before I was a spiritualist. My meditation techniques come from a time of overcoming drug addiction through studying Kundalini Yoga. My meditation comes from the time when I was in martial arts where it was taught with a religious perspective. So I was doing meditation a long time before I ever got into this type of work. So I still did my meditation and my disciplines in the morning. And one day, and I kept asking that question, you know, if this isn't any good, then why do I want to keep doing it? And finally, after about 6 months, I got an answer. And it said that these spiritual gifts are not intended to help people avoid the circumstances of their lives. It's to help them understand them in a greater perspective of how they happen. And I knew that was truth when I heard it. So I got up off my ass and went back to doing this work ever since. But again, that's the way that it works. You keep asking, you keep looking, and you just go through a period of time where it's one foot in front of the other, just life on life's terms and taking care of life in front of you. Another important point to understand about the forgiveness is that understanding follows forgiveness. It does not precede it. You have to forgive people before you get the understanding of why these things happen. Because until that point, you're so stuck in the emotional perception of it, you cannot see the bigger picture. Now, a couple key things about forgiveness that, too many people, they say, oh, forgiveness is this or that. Well, a couple things about forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not being on your knees when you give it to somebody. You can be in a submissive position. You can be standing straight on your feet, looking them square in the eye when you forgive them. There's no need to be in a submissive position. It does not mean putting yourself in a position of vulnerability to show people that you mean what you say, or allowing people to take advantage of you to prove to them that you're sincere. That's some of the things it's not. Your act of forgiveness is not judged by others' acceptance of it. When you do a sincere act of forgiveness with somebody and they choose not to accept it or to in any fashion validate it, that's their business. If you do everything you can do in honesty and sincerity and truth, and you've made an attempt at amends, and they don't want to accept it, that's their business. You've done everything required of you as a spiritual being and as a civil being to make that happen. You can draw the line in the sand and walk away from it at that point, regardless of who they are, family, friends, it doesn't matter. Sincere effort, an attempt to make amends, you should not be bound by their inability to accept it. God and Spirit want you to be happy and enjoy life. Each day is a new day for you to step away from the difficulties that you may find yourself in the day before. It's a new slate. It's a new opportunity. All the potentials are there to be ultimately happy or ultimately unhappy. Every day you wake up. Don't be bound by the past, but don't forget it. Remember what you did, accept the responsibility for what you did, and let the responsibility for others belong to them. Be joyous about your life. Live life love God, embrace peace and happiness and joy. It's a personal choice. It's there every day for you to see. The perception of what you look at it with is what you get out of it. They say that when the spirits come to you as you die, you can view them as avenging angels or loving, caring angels. It's the same angels either way. They're taking you to the same place, and it's the same beings. Your perception of it changes. There's a saying that I went through when I was with the organization that helped me quit drinking, and it's one that I remember because it's one that had to be told to me straight without the ability to pretty it up any. And one of their sayings is, if the world looks dark and stinks, you probably got your head up your you-know-what. The final thing I'll close with today is a reading from the Spiritualist manual called On the 23rd Psalm. In pastures green, not always. Sometimes he who knows best in kindness leadeth me, in weary ways where shadows be. And by still waters, not always so. Oft times the heavy tempests round me blow, and o'er my soul the waves and billows go. But when the storms beat loudest and I cry, aloud for help the Master standeth by, and whispers to my soul, lo, it is I. So when he leads me, I can surely go, and in the blessed hereafter I shall know why in his wisdom he hath led me so. Thank you.